Hi, everybody. Ooh, we're almost on time today. What's up, world? I love the computer notifying me about my own stuff. Yes, thank you. I wish you would notify other people about my stuff. I swear, like 10% of my subscription, not even, barely 10%. Yeah, maybe a little more. Maybe 15% of my subscribers actually saw this last video or last week's video. You know, which I'm not the only one that's happening to, I guess. I'm not the only person who, like, their subscribers are not being shown their new videos. I do hear people grumbling about that quite a bit. So while I don't take it personally, it's still very annoying. Very, very annoying. But I hope everybody's Wednesday is going well. I thought the premiere went well. That was fun. Thanks to everybody who tuned in for that. A little bit of a sting in the tail this week because it was my very first attempt at just a straightforward, sort of video essay type thing where I just kind of sit and talk about a topic, And I did not put that bit at the end to pad out the length. I thought I had more material. It took me 3 days to write that, so that's a learning experience. But so, no, I genuinely, I included that, and I put them at the end because it's not about them. But, like, that was really what lit a fire underneath me to go ahead to really be brave enough to just go ahead and say, you know what, to hell with it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Because apparently there are no qualifications for being a public intellectual other than being famous and saying things that people consider to be intellectual statements. I have half of those qualifications. So, I don't really want to be famous. I that's, the problem with that. But on the other hand, how in the heck else am I going to get heard by people? I mean, I don't court, like, popularity and, like, I hate to say that, this sounds like such a humble brag, but seriously, I just want to talk about stuff, and I have so many thoughts. And the older I get, the harder it is to keep them to myself, like, and I flatter myself that I'm reasonably intelligent. So I just don't see why. Why not? Why not enter the fray? What up, Philological? How you doing? Pretty good. I was just kind of going over the video. Rockin'. Did you get your brain scan results back yet? Yeah, you did? Oh, good. That's great. Congrats. Cool beans. That's awesome. And this is so embarrassing. I just want to say I don't chain smoke normally. But this to me is like my weekly club meeting. You know what I mean? So, like, where I can sit and chain smoke and rant about stuff. Pretty good. Let's see. Tomorrow is 4th of July. Like I say, we're going to go spend the afternoon at the lake with some friends who live there. Their house, like, butts right up on this lake. No, I know you're not judging me, but I feel like I don't like the chain smoking necessarily, but it's like this is a safe, sort of special bitchery zone, if you will. I don't know. And then the week after that, my sister is coming to stay. So that's gonna be fun. God bless America and all that stuff. No, obviously the tradition is to wear red or red, white, and blue or whatever. So I'll probably wear something like this because I usually go for green, just to be that weirdo. I don't know. It's a subtle thing. Oh yeah, and they set off the fireworks in the park that is right across the lake from their house. So we're gonna have a pretty good view of that, I think. Looking forward to that. Oh, they're loud though. Mm, fun. Uh anyway, it's got to be better than last year. Last year was kind of a disaster because we got like, this town is kind of on the edge of nothing. So the park is right on the edge of the countryside, and it is dark as fuck up there, and all those winding country roads look the same to me because I'm a city girl. Okay, I'm used to street lights like that. So we got kind of lost out in the darkness with freaking out, and that was so I figure the bar is low, right? Compared to that, it's gonna be a bang up time. It's gonna be just a whiz banger of a time. uh, and then yeah, my sister's gonna come and stay with us for a while for an indefinite period. I mean, like I was saying, I think last week, my cousin who she's been living with, uh, is actually got a really bad health diagnosis last month or something. So she's gonna go live in Washington D.C. and marry a friend of hers, and my sister is going to come stay with us. So just as our other one is just beginning to go to college, she's leaving for college in August. So it's gonna be an interesting crossover there. Because she is my sister, but she is 20. I don't really know her very well. She was raised by our dad, so yeah. Oh, my cousin. My cousin is the one who's ill. My sister's coming to stay with us. Is Has her issues, but they are ongoing. So I don't know that it's necessarily my place to talk about her business. I'm just telling you what's up with me. Um, right? Yeah, my dad got remarried. Yeah, no, it's confusing. It's cool. You don't know any of these people. And I could show you their faces and help you associate, help you get to know them a little bit. But I feel like again that might not be um, polite. I don't know. That feels really like invasive. Um. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go get her on the 13th, and then there's just all kinds of stuff going on around here. Really, that sounds like a heavy couple of topics hanging over the holiday. I hope you're able to. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's the whole thing about the 4th of July is everybody you just kind of kick back and argue about politics and grill a bunch of meat, and a lot of people drink a lot of beer, and then the city shoots off a bunch of fireworks, and everybody says "ooh ah yay" at the fireworks, and then goes home. Yeah, it's pretty civil, really. The fireworks they really help as the focal point. I do believe that, which is funny because you have people setting them off like their own at home, but the city they make the point. And being British, maybe you are not, you don't know how this works, but the city they make the point of doing, a big professional show. So it's really hard to compete with that as a private citizen. So the park is always packed. And they have music and whatever beforehand and food trucks and da da da. It sounds like yeah. So, and we're going to get to go hang with some friends this year. So. Actually, that guy. Let me tell you about him a little bit because you'll appreciate this as a medievalist. That guy, or as like a historian generally, that guy hit me with hyperdiffusion within the first 10 minutes. I swear to God. Along the lines of believing that some ancient civilization, fell and gave all their technology to the Egyptians and the Incans and whatever, or the Maya or whoever it was. I can never keep that straight. I'm so sorry. Swear to God, within the first 10 minutes of meeting this man, we were talking about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I have a couple of channel recommendations for you. But like they don't even really YouTube. What up, big plans? Hey, nice nice to see you. Glad you could catch us for once. Like, not anything against you, but I know it's rough for you. This is a hard time for you, right? I do miss your humor, though. So, how you doing? How's your Wednesday been? But yeah, so as you may know, I have interests in, ancient history and esoterica and shit like that. What up, Red? How you doing? How's your day going? By the way, can I just say, I love being the one to say that. What up, Red? I think that's, hey, Red. I think that just tickles me to death. By the way, I just want to say that. Just want to put that out there. Work is per usual. Yeah. You mind just asking what you do? Yeah, but so this guy, we're gonna go spend the afternoon with them tomorrow, and their trans masculine daughter, trans son, whatever. I'm such an evil turf that my son is dating a trans man. Ooh, okay. Because kids are kids, and they're gonna kid, and they're gonna do that. Like, I'm sorry, maybe that's patronizing, but I was one once. Okay. Hey, honey. Builder, dirty old builder. Oh, right on. Is he actually? Oh, like there's been a name change and a pronoun change, but otherwise, no. Like, not, it's a girl, and not calling her his girlfriend is very difficult. But the two of them are very, very much a couple. Okay. And they're very in sync. And her mom was telling me how much alike they are. Well, we've had, I've had conversations with the mom a couple of different times, and we've compared notes, and, they have a lot in common temperamentally and interest wise, and like they seem like a good match. Dating a Gaiden. yeah, pretty much. And I asked him if that meant that, technically if that meant he was gay. And he said, yeah, I guess so. As if it was no big deal. I'm like, okay, whatever. Because I'm going to argue with him about it? No, that's so stupid, right? And it's cute, though, because he is doing that thing that young men do where they get laser hyper focused on their girl, right? And like they forget stuff. Like other stuff kind of drops off the radar because they're hyper focused on, their girl, and they got to go see their girl, and they got to blah, 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 see. And it like, so he's not acting, he's behaving as if he's not dating a girl. Like he's talking as if he's not dating a girl, but he's behaving as if he is. That's for sure. And it's cute. So, whatever. He's 16. So regardless of who he was dating and how that was going, I would have to be kind of a half a step back from that, right? Because what? I'm going to tell him how to date? No. I don't think that would be healthy for either of us. So, I'm just letting that unfold naturally and keeping an eye on things, right? And her family are fun. They're cool people. They live next to the lake. We're going to go hang out with them tomorrow afternoon. And they have a 7-year-old for the little guy to play with even. So, and her parents are just sort of hippies, basically. And I told them I'm not really a hippie. I'm more like a beatnik with a garden. What up, Scott? How you doing? Yeah. And I don't know, that was like a dirty little secret for a while of mine. Like I kind of went with the hippie vibe for a long time because it's like easy, you know. But yeah, all that free love shit. I just no. And when I eventually came to understand just how patriarchal that still is and just how it serves, men, I'm like, yeah, I had this feeling, like I had this feeling, like I had this feeling there was something wrong with that. Very warm. Oh yeah. Well, it's July in Tennessee. Happy 4th, by the way. You got any plans for tomorrow? It's gorgeous. It's kind of hot though, so we'll see how long we get to stay out here on the side patio under the sun. You can see behind me, it's pretty much coming straight down. I don't know if you can really see the shadow of the tree under the tree, but we're election day here tomorrow. Ooh, so I get to spoil my ballot as there is no workers' party in the county. True. And of course, that stuff is inevitably going to come up. That tomorrow, we're going to go spend tomorrow afternoon with some friends and watch the fireworks and whatever. But I figure that stuff is inevitably going to come up in conversation. So thankfully, they seem to be, on our side, as it were. Not that our side isn't having an absolute shit the bed moment right now. Like, Biden is old. I will watch Jaws, the perfect 4th of July movie. Is it? I've never actually seen that one. Sorry. Yeah. Now it's my turn to sit here and say I've never seen one of the cultural pillars of cinema. Sorry. But I hear we're going to need a bigger boat, right? Is that right? That's what I've heard. Like, I am familiar. Like I say, we're going to be spending the 4th of July at the lake, so maybe Jaws is not the one to go with. Independence Day. Oh, yeah. Obviously. My son was watching something spoofing Bill Pullman's speech from that movie the other day, and I was like, have you even seen that movie? He goes, no. I'm like, you know what? Just pull up the speech. It's like 60 seconds long because it's a movie. It's not an actual political speech, but he did a good job, And my kid literally goes, he sounds like Donald Trump. I said, no, he sounds presidential. He sounds like a politician. He and Donald Trump are aping the same archetype. Good eye, though. What up, kitty cat? Talking about sharks today? Ooh, mine just left. I don't know. Independence Day, 4th of July stuff. We got a couple Brits in here who don't know anything about that, probably. Or, I don't know. What do y'all know about? It's really, would it shock you to know that we really don't talk about Britain? Like, probably not. That sounded snotty, but like, seriously, it is very American focused, very Americana focused. Okay, so colloquially it is known as the 4th of July, like Cinco de Mayo. It doesn't have like it's Yes, Biden's cognitive abilities are very far gone now, and it showed during last week's debate. Precisely what I was talking about. Yes. Well, like, why is this news? And you have Carl Bernstein on CNN, right? Carl Bernstein, the Carl Watergate Bernstein, still out there doing his same bit, right? Talking about how he has talked to people who are close to the president, and they said that this shit's been going on for at least a year. At least a year. But in the last 6 months, especially so. We just take Canada Day, so I get shit mixed up with Independence Day. Oh, right on. Happy Canada Day. It's essentially the same idea, right? Did y'all see his wife helping Biden hobble off the debate stage? Unbelievable. Yeah, right. They used to call it the Minion Day. Oh, nice. You just missed it. The food got better in 99. Oh. Why was that? Excuse me. Yeah, no, and I saw someone who essentially was saying, oh, I think it was the Young Turks, who their take on the whole thing is that Jill Biden is just power mad. Dr. Jill Biden. I don't know what she's a doctorate of. I do not know if she is a medical doctor or whatever. I suppose I could look that up. But was that Jill is, running the show and keeping him going and does not want to give up. It's a Woodrow Wilson situation, essentially. Where, he had a massive stroke and his wife ran the country for the better part of a year or something like that. She's a teacher. Okay. That doesn't mean she doesn't have any kind of medical degree, but whatever. It's not relevant. It doesn't matter what her degree is in. Okay? Nothing justifies something like that. Yeah, Jill Biden talked to him like you would a 3-year-old. All Bidens are power hungry. I do not have enough. I'm just repeating this is what I heard somebody had made of this. And it's literally the only explanation that holds any water that I have so far heard. I saw a clip of Jill Biden on stage with Joe at a rally, and she was basically speaking for him. Well, Joe just stood there and seemed not to know what's going on. Yeah. It's genuinely horrifying to watch. Yeah. And who was saying, I think this was also, that was Cenk, saying how he thought maybe somebody had pushed this debate early to expose this, because they still had the convention coming up, and usually the debates are after the convention, and he's right about that. Answered every question. Good boy. Yeah, right. So, maybe that's obvious. I don't know. I haven't been paying the closest of attention because what am I going to do? Vote for Trump? In a pig's eye. Okay, my options are few. Oh, yeah. And did you guys hear about the Supreme Court ruling 3 days ago? Oh, we're about to have an ad, so Biden is 100% medically unfit to stay in the race, much less stay in office. Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know if I believe Cenk on that, but it's a plausible theory. You're right. It's the only plausible theory that I've heard so far, because why? Would they be pretending that he's still with it when he's not? So it's a puppet presidency. It's possibly the most corrupt thing I've ever heard. There better be a damn good explanation for that. Pretty sure Woodrow Wilson's wife's, I forget her name. Elizabeth, maybe? Elizabeth Wilson, someone else. Anyway, Mrs. Wilson, please forgive me. World War I and all that. It's not even a respectable legacy. Why would Jill want that? Yeah, right. Past year, we've gotten some pretty damn crazy memeable Joe Biden clips. Presidents are all puppets for elites. Yep, right. But they are at least supposed to be competent human beings, in a basic conversational way. Okay, being corrupt is one thing. Being brainless is something else. Joe is an awful politician. He flies by the wind, and what is popular now? Yeah, he wrote the crime bill. Right, yeah. That disproportionately went after black people, was anti-gay until it wasn't useful and lies endlessly. Thank you for sitting through the ad. Thank you. lost half our people. I'm sorry. Thank you. Every little bit counts. It does. I'm really trying to build this into something, bigger. And I wanted to ask you guys, now that a lot of y'all are here, what you guys thought about the heresies thing, because I'm thinking of digging deeper into some of those. Maybe giving them each their own video type of thing. Right. No, and I get that they're all puppets anyway, but I to be so blatant about it, so brazen about it, but no, and that relates to what I was saying. Dude, premium. Thanks, babe. As far as the Supreme Court ruling, I do not know if everyone heard about that. I don't know if y'all Brits heard about that or have any real understanding of what it means. And that's, again, not to be patronizing. I don't necessarily understand British politics. Okay, like I would ask somebody about some of those things before I just spout it off about them, because I'm not British and I don't live there. Okay, so I don't mean to be patronizing when I explain some of these things, because like a lot of Americans don't necessarily understand American politics, and shit, maybe I'm one of them. Let's find out. My friend is a big anti-feminist, and so often when he voices his issues, it's some stereotype like feminists are anti-mother or such lot. I support each heresy getting its own video. Thank you, Red. So it would be nice having more content out there which rebuts such heresies. Fantastic. Yeah. And, I'm obviously looking towards more creating, nurturing sort of my own brand and what the fuck that is, instead of just responding to other people, So, I'm not British and I don't live there. Showing off again. Really? I thought that was a confession. I mean, look at me. And normally I have flaming red hair and everybody thinks I'm Irish, which I'm not. So, Scott, like lots on my dad's side especially. Biden devoted his entire career to serving the big corporate powers, the rich oligarchs, and U.S. empire mega war machine. He's never served you and me. Well, in that case, perhaps he's getting his just desserts right now, as far as history is concerned. But it is detrimental to the country, the government, the position. It just cannot. This should not be allowed to continue. So, it's funny because I can't remember. I don't think it was the Young Turks. I think this was someone else I saw saying that, it looks like someone is still making sharp decisions as far as like foreign policy. And they were saying, that's showing how he was on the foreign policy committee in the Senate, blah, 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 or whatever. And I just thought, so they were saying that this is like two sides of the same coin. And I'm like, unfortunately, I have too much experience with dementia to really believe that. You don't just snap into your favorite topic and all of a sudden be sharp as a tack. That's not how that works. So who the fuck is making all these foreign policy decisions? Most of my ancestry is English. Right on. This Supreme Court decision, right? You guys, don't let's get too lost in the weeds, okay? Because this is important. They ruled that the president has legal immunity. Which goes against the entire principle of the founding of the country. Not to sound like, it just literally does, though. Like everything I know or understand about American civics, like that is quite the head scratcher. How on earth you could possibly rationalize that and have it be not entirely unconstitutional? No one is above the law. That is the whole point. We don't have kings and whatever because, tomorrow, and it's so ironic that it happened within a week of Independence Day. And the guy who's in office right now is not exactly in a position to fully utilize that sudden surge in his authority, is he? Yes, the Supreme Court ruling will make us into an autocratic monarchy. Right. So, And Biden is in those kind of a position to take advantage of this obviously. You don't really have I wouldn't be worried. If I were on his hit list, I still would not be worried. You know? Yes, there's no reason to celebrate Independence Day this year because no. See, and I don't see it that way. If we don't get angry now, we'll never have the opportunity. Okay? No. I think that it's great in that way because it's good. People are literally already had plans for this holiday, probably when that ruling happened. So now we get together and talk about that. while we still can. Yeah. So, I mean, on the bright side, at least there's not a bunch of people still out there being like, nothing's wrong, everything's fine, this society is totally healthy, and I'm totally happy. Tee-hee. Like, there's a lot fewer of those I see around these days. And here's to that. I'm right. I assume you're referring to the gathering to talk about things while we still can. Here's to that. Because it's going to be fresh on everybody's minds. You know, and the debate. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I didn't know better, it does almost look like some social scientist is like, can we push this stuff before the nationalist holiday? Where people get around and, you know, relax, get together and relax and become inebriated. And, like, obviously political debates are part of the tradition. I don't remember a 4th of July that ever, you know, didn't involve something like that, especially during an election year, right? Because it's just sort of the unspoken topic. It's a nationalist holiday. It's the nationalist holiday. So obviously, like, especially if there's a federal election going on, oh yeah, it's in the back of your mind. So these conversations tend to just crop up. Yeah. Like I say, I'm not expecting a whole lot of arguments tomorrow. I expect tomorrow to be a pretty peaceful day for us because I none of them are, you know, I figure we're all pretty much on the same page. Oregon is in for a very hot holiday weekend with temps as high as 110. I have not checked the forecast for tomorrow. That's a good idea. Okay, so the frightening situation of American politics aside for a moment, if we can. I did want to ask y'all about the video because this was a bit of a departure for me, and I sort of slipped back into my old ways there at the end with the response bit, but I basically just couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself because I was literally sitting there. I had just finished, you know, writing a part of it, and I thought to myself, I'll take a break and watch something. In any respect I might have had for Adam Conover, it just really went down the toilet because really, all the superlatives and all that ass kissing, I just, wow, you know. And I fully admit to not watching that full interview because what the hell are they going to talk about for over an hour? That? Nah, I'm good. This is why I would not want to spend the summer down in Oregon. It's too damn hot down there. Excuse me. The exception is allowing the coast where it's cool. Well, yeah. Ocean breezes and whatever. It'll be in the trees camping. I'll be in the trees camping next to a cold, freezing cold river by tomorrow. Escaping from the heat and style. That's nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if you heard. We're planning on going and spending the day tomorrow with some friends who live right beside the lake. So similar. And then the city shoots off the fireworks from the park right across the lake. So we're going to be sitting pretty for that. And last year, like I say, we got lost in the dark with no gas, and the kids were kind of freaking out. So, like, the bar is low. The bar is low. As long as we manage to do better than that, we'll be doing well. We have the sound to cool off in, right? Right on. It's an artificial lake. You know, they dammed a river decades ago to create this lake. But anyways, yeah. What did you guys think of my first video essay? Was it comprehensible? Did I make sense? You know? Mecca's not here. And Joe's not here. I hope Joe shows up because I think she would have really liked it too. But yeah, that's more the direction I'm thinking. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be, you know, not strictly, because I like to be eclectic. But and you know, I reserve the right to, obviously, if somebody puts up something and I'm just like, and then obviously I'm gonna probably make a response to that. But artificial lakes over in Eastern Washington. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Eastern Washington is gorgeous. That I can say for personal experience. To be honest, I just woke up and haven't watched it yet. I will though, promise. Okay, cool. Because I go through a few of my rad femme heresies that I mentioned in last week's video, where I do love the theory and I think it's a great analysis of how society functions and, you know, why, you know, the oppression is almost invisible to us while we are going through it, right? But I don't a lot of times agree with what people do with that and how it's put into practice. And I think the biggest one, aside from the obvious one, which is like I try to actually unpack the baggage we brought with us from the kitchen, if you know what I mean, like the whole sexual dimorphism, reproduction thing, the whole kids and family thing. We're supposed to be critical of all that stuff and how much of that is based in patriarchal assumptions. But like a lot of times people behave as if everything, all our ideas surrounding motherhood and family and all of that are patriarchal assumptions, which would mean that men invented women. No, that's not right. That can't be right. That's not right. I'm sorry. Most fascinating landscapes in the entire U.S. Oh, well, I don't know about that. It is gorgeous, though. I don't know what I was. Have you been to East Tennessee? This place is full of caves and thick forests like you would not believe. But anyway, so yeah, that was heresy number one. Is that instead of just trying to throw away all of women's culture, because it just strikes me, it strikes me as not like other girlsing ourselves right out of everything women in history thought and did, and like, well, that's none of that's going to actually be helpful for us because they were all just a bunch of handmaids. Like, whoa, okay. Most of them were also mothers, so like as a mother, I don't know, I'm kind of curious about some of their thoughts on that. And a lot of it, like, I can't find it. There just isn't like a strong mother culture. Like, there's no, you know what I'm saying? I hope this is, you know, going to be some of the stuff that actually would go in the video for this particular topic. And, you know, heresy number two involves a lot of the other material that one finds when you look into radical feminist stuff, right? So, you know, you go and look at the ideas, or you somehow run into this philosophy somewhere and you go, oh, wow, I agree with a lot of that stuff. So I guess maybe I'm a radical feminist. Okay, what now? So you go and you look into this literature, and a lot of it is a lot of hate-filled, misandrist, you know, a lot of it is. A lot of it's not. Okay, there is, you know, I feel like kernels of wisdom buried in there, but you have to get, we all know this, right? I'm not saying anything that anyone who hasn't read who's read any Andrea Dworkin or any of that doesn't know already, right? That there is wisdom buried in there, but you have to get through a lot of the personal rage, okay, right, of them working through their own internalized misogyny in the form of the books. And I just thought maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is, like a radical feminist sort of a rite of passage. You have to get all this bile out, okay? But that's just the first step, right? Like that itself is not what radical feminism is, okay? Nuclear family is patriarchal. Family, the word, derives from the Latin word slaves. Okay. Like, that's not how it's used now. I feel like that word is not necessarily man-oriented or like, okay. We're not going to pretend that the meaning of words can change over 2,000 years, because I'm going to argue that they do. Okay? I'm going to have to say they do. The idea of labeling all pre-modern women as handmaidens is complicated. I mean, for one thing, a lot of women might well have been earnestly committed to patriarchal belief systems, Right, yeah. Like the Lauren Southern says today. Right, yeah. I'm not saying they didn't exist too. But again, not everything is about that. Like, maybe they had ideas about, relations with other women or child rearing or whatever. And the point is, we don't know, because most of them weren't fucking literate and they didn't get to write any of it down. And that's my point, okay? Really, at the end of the day. Most cultures before Christianity live more communal setting, including extended family like a clan. Right. And those tend to be matriarchal that's just how it tends to end up working, because the women are raising all the kids. Okay? And that's the core of, like, that's the situation that all people originate from, boys and girls alike, start being raised by their mother, pretty much. So yeah, not everything is about whether something's patriarchal beliefs or not. Like, there's no women's culture like separate from that, because it was not preserved. It was not seen as important, maybe even by the women themselves, okay? So now I don't have that. So now we don't have that. We have thousands of years of dudes jacking off onto paper about the nature of God and whatever. Why in the fuck don't I have thousands of years worth of treatises on motherhood written by women who did it? Why don't I have that? And that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Unpacking this baggage that, until I became a mother myself and found myself in the situation, I was not even aware of. That I'm sure a lot of other younger women are not aware of, and maybe the older ones are, and they have their own way of dealing with it. I don't know, because I feel like a lot of people do not approach this way. A lot of people don't talk about this kind of stuff, which is why I feel compelled to do so. Okay. And I did go through. I recognized, like, the stuff, the Dworkin stuff, the Shulamith Firestone stuff, the Monique Wittig stuff. Like, I recognize that stuff. I do. Okay. The feminine mystique kind of annoys me, but like, I recognize that stuff. I think women's knowledge scared men historically. I mean, witches were even called knowledgeable women or cunning women, right? Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think women enjoyed the status in the old days when they were literally seen as property of a man. No, I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they enjoyed it. I'm saying they made the best of it. I'm saying, wouldn't it be nice to know how they did that? It might inform our approach to doing the same now, making the best of things, because life doesn't change that much. Because again, it insults me. Like, seriously, people are like, Socrates said. I'm like, I'm sorry. Socrates lived in a time when they believed that that good health relied on a balance of the humors, and that a woman's womb could wander around her body and drive her insane. So you're going to sit there and tell me we should listen to what Socrates had to say about stuff? Really? Why? And why exactly do we not have, the alternative, the woman's perspective on any of that? From then, from 1,000 years later, okay? So, the idea that women in history had nothing to say, I think is because, we get this because we don't have it. And that pisses me off. We don't even have it to look at and go, well, that's some archaic bullshit. Like, it's not even there. Which the older I get, the more bereft I feel about that. Ooh, time to plug in Caliban and the Witch by Sylvia Federici, right? Yeah, fuck Socrates. Exactly. Yes, I so need to read that book. But, like, I wonder if I can find the audiobook somewhere. I wonder if I could focus long enough to listen to an audiobook. I feel like my mind would just wander. Anyway. Because, yeah, that's definitely the lines I find my mind running towards. Where is all this stuff? You mean to tell, they weren't just wifing and mothering away and being super stoked about that and had nothing to say about anything that was going on or any philosophy about the whole wifing and mothering bit, because I wager they did. I wager women had their own philosophy surrounding those things. And we don't even know what the fuck it was. So that's just beyond aggravating. And it's one of those, be the change you want to see in the world, or, write what you want to read, right? So here we are. I'm not just sitting here bitching about it. I'm trying to do my little bit to rectify the situation, and create a little bit of stuff like that. Which is, the unpacking of the kitchen baggage stuff. And as far as the unpacking of the internalized misogyny, I did do a lot of that on my own, in private, throughout my 20s and 30s. And so I recognize a lot of that stuff. And I see how that it is important, I don't know that it's philosophy, though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you guys feel about this? Discuss. I'm off the clamp. No, I'm not. But you gotta do the bit. Otherwise, y'all might not get the reference. A Saturday Night Live episode from 30 years ago. Why wouldn't it be philosophy? Well, because it isn't rational, okay? It is more like an exploration of somebody's false beliefs, like you would have in a therapy session, okay? Like, so they did so, but victors of history get to be the ones who shape it. Only men's voices exist now for the most part. Right, that's what I'm saying. That pisses me off. It's critical to do deep level inner work or nothing will change. Right. But so that deep level inner work isn't necessarily philosophy. Okay. And that's why Simone de Beauvoir is another one where there's stuff. And, I haven't read entire books because the last time I read an entire book was 2011. Okay. Like, I don't have time. I legitimately don't have time or the energy to sit down and focus my attention span on something like that for that long. I'm sorry. I'm not in a good place in my life for that stuff right now. And my list of to be read is, a mile high. But I've read, bits here and there and enough to gather like whole chunks. Enough to gather that, yeah, I mean, it's coherent, but it reads like the ramblings of somebody who is untangling some deep, heavy stuff. Okay. And a lot of it is really negative. And I'm just, reaching the conclusion that if we're not slaves, we won't be women anymore. That is my favorite example at the moment of something that, while apparently a radical feminist statement, that's not a rational statement, materially speaking, is it? I don't want to just dismiss this stuff outright, because I do. I recognize it. Okay. And there are nuggets of real philosophy in there. How old were these women when they wrote a lot of these books? Legit question. I'm pushing into my 40s, and I'm starting to have just a slightly different perspective on some of this stuff. Okay. And I wonder if that's not part of what it is. So I'm not like judging them or saying they were wrong to do what they did, but I think radical feminism as a cause, as a philosophy, as a school of philosophy, would do ourselves a big favor in clarifying what those the few core tenets, like the idea that our oppression is systemic, and, just tweaking some laws here and there is not really going to help anything. That's a core radical feminist idea. But then what you do with that, what you make of that, or the idea that misogyny is so pervasive that it's in the culture and it's everywhere and it's in your own head, okay? That's a core radical feminist idea. But then what do you make of that? It kind of also denies material reality. Right, even in a non-patriarchal society, the physical differences between men and women, right, thank you, it still results in vastly different perspectives on life. Yes, exactly. Which is why what I'm saying, it looks like somebody working through their false beliefs and trying to untangle this stuff. Okay, it's important. But then it gets paraded out by academics as radical feminist philosophy, and it doesn't quite make sense, and that's embarrassing. And like you say, the fact that so much of women's perspective on life has been totally lost is really sad. Right. So, like, we don't have the proper context for these books, for these writings, okay? Because radical feminism doesn't have a lot of what you would call, like, structure to its practice, right? I guess what I'm doing is proposing some, okay? Is it when, you find yourself just spewing forth all of this internalized misogyny that you've been suppressing for so long and getting so angry and hateful and just, that's a part of the process, but that's not rational philosophy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, maybe I've said this before, we need to have, and I would start one, but I feel like over the internet is not not the appropriate place. You need to do this kind of thing in person with people, right? Where we support groups, where, like, literally Alcoholics Anonymous, Misogynists Anonymous, okay? Where we just down and work through, and in small groups, our own experiences with this self-hatred that, pops up in our thoughts, in our daily lives, and in the culture around us, okay? History is written by the victors with Jean-Luc Picard. Are you sure? No, I endorse quoting him too. But, like, are you sure he's the one who said that? I feel like someone else. That sounds like Voltaire. I feel like they may have, taken a lot of his dialogue from Voltaire, quite frankly, because they strike me as suddenly strike me as similar, but not the point. In context, she doesn't mean women won't be women anymore, but women wouldn't be what people see women as femininity. Right. No, I understand that because I've been through all that. I get it. I recognize what they're saying. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying it is an irrational statement that does not make for strong philosophy. Okay. So exploring our feelings about these things needs to be what's the word I'm looking for? Like decoupled, like compartmentalized from the things themselves. Am I making sense here? Misogynists Anonymous. Yeah. No, yeah. Women only, obviously. So internalized misogynists Anonymous. But that's kind of long. That's kind of a mouthful, right? Women haters Anonymous. And have it be just a group of women. I don't get it. Oh. I mean, it's just a play on Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's the essentially the framework that I'm thinking of. It's a, casual sort of a group therapy session sort of a setting, where, women get together and work through their experiences with internalized misogyny and help identify it for one another and that kind of thing, and support each other through this journey that is an inevitable part of absorbing radical feminist ideas. Okay. But that itself is not the ideas. Am I making sense here? I really feel that, this is a big part of why, A, people don't necessarily understand what the hell it is we're all so upset about. And B, I'm so tired of hearing about the radical feminists when what they mean is radicals who call themselves feminists. It's like, no. I'm really so tired of people just using words like they don't mean things. Then shut up. If you don't know what words mean, then be quiet. Am I familiar with Kelly J? Oh, yeah, of course. No. I mean, I don't get what you want compartmentalized. Okay, yeah. So it is. There's the ideas of like, okay, oppression is systemic. Idea, right? Idea number 2. Misogyny is so pervasive, it's inside of you as well. Okay. These are the ideas. And then our reaction to them is a whole lot, because of course it is. Of course it is. Of course I'm familiar with Kelly J. Why do you ask? I get that you're in a small town, but did you have mums groups locally you could go to for help? Yeah, probably at the Baptist church. If I want to get involved in a prayer group, okay. Radicals that are feminists, what do you think radical means? Okay. In the superlative colloquial meaning of the term, like wacko. Okay. Meaning extremist. Extremists who call themselves feminists. You're right. I should stop using that word wrong too. Yes. And, personally, I guess my biggest issue with Kelly J, and it is a big issue, is that she does not really do any analysis of gender roles, of the sex-based social roles. Like, she seems to be totes cool with all of that. Props to her for defending women and insisting that we do exist, because obviously I'm with you there, sister. But what does that mean? She seems very ready to just accept unquestioningly the idea we've all been presented with, which is exactly what I'm not. So that would be, I guess, a big point of disagreement between the two of us as far as I've been able to ascertain. I hate when people conflate extremist with radical, as in to get right. Yeah. Right. English. Word games. Right? It is. It's another little semantic flipperoo that they're doing on us. It's fun. But the media, they refer to extremists who are feminists as radical feminists. You're not an extremist. Right. I didn't assume you were when you said that you were a radical. I knew that you mean in the political sense, which I get, obviously. And I suppose I would consider myself that too. The day that I put that together, I'm like, what? I'm a what? Because I think the whole game is rigged and needs to be evaluated. Like, we're playing a rigged game. I don't want to adjust the rules of the game. I want to change the fucking game. Maybe put it in a different venue. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in common sense, which isn't so common, unfortunately. Yeah. I like to think I have that too, obviously. We'll see just how common my sense is, as time goes on, I suppose. But so as far as building the channel, yeah, we'll do a video on the baggage from the kitchen, and then a video on the difference between praxis and theory, I guess. I suppose maybe there's more there than I thought. I thought that was maybe, a pretty simple. I'm going to have to go back and, and obviously comments are all welcome. Input is all welcome. I love that stuff because we're trying to build this together. Like, really. If I were just doing this for myself and for like attention or something, oh man, I would have quit 2 years ago, or I would have quit ages ago. Abolish the game and create a new one where things are fair for all. Right? Yeah. Create one with equal input from the feminine half of the population. Yeah, exactly. And apparently that's radical feminism. Okay. Apparently I'm a radical feminist because for me that's just non-negotiable and obvious. And civilization, I wrote a blog post about this. I've talked about it on the channel before. Civilization, as we know it, was invented by a bunch of ancient Greek men who thought that women needed to wear a special hat if they left the house. Okay? Like, so the idea that it might not be especially suited for a female mind or a female approach to things is not so outlandish. It's not. The idea that humanity as a community might exist outside of that is apparently revolutionary. I don't know. We existed before that. I don't. What were we doing? Who knows? Right? Who knows? Which is also interesting. I'm not saying I believe in, ancient super technology. I was just saying at the beginning. That sounds like I'm hinting at that. And I don't. That's so silly to me. Hyper dispersion. The guy we're going to go hang out with tomorrow, he did. He launched right into that ancient civilization, bequeath knowledge to the Egyptians bit within 10 minutes of meeting me. So that's fun. I told him he needed to go watch some Justin Sledge videos, some of the Esoterica channel videos. I wonder if he did. Probably not. That who knows. I take those with a pinch of salt that believe in my wandering home make me crazy. Oh, wandering womb? Yeah. Right, exactly. Excuse me. So, if ideas like that are baked into the very foundations of civilization, not society. Okay, and I do make the distinction between, right? Yeah, that's funny. Autocorrect. From womb to home. That's funny. Society is just, wherever people gather in groups. Civilization is all the rules that we build around that. Okay. And the idea that society exists outside of civilization, I think, blows some people's minds. Because supposedly if civilization falls, then society will go with it, right? It'll all be, anarchy and chaos and just the purge, basically. And if that were true, then we would have started that way and we would never have got to where we are. Like, what? If humanity just secretly wanted to kill one another, and the only thing keeping us from doing it was this veneer of civilization, we never would have built the veneer of civilization. What is that? What? The purge sounds fun. Yeah, right. I assume you're being sarcastic because ew. I don't know. Again, my cousin who may be dying, she doesn't know that yet, but she's looking at a hard second half of the year, right? And she said that she's always said that if she found out she were terminal, there would be, a few people who should be looking over their shoulder. As if to say the only thing that was, if she knew she were going to die, she would try and take a few out with her, which, like, I mean, okay. I suppose that's nice. Make the world a better place with your last days, I suppose. But on the other hand, what a way to spend your last time on Earth in life. Like, wow, I feel like if I learned I were going to die, murder would probably be the last thing on my mind. Wow. Yes, you are being sarcastic. Okay, cool. Yeah. No. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of murder. I have no qualms about saying that. Not a fan of murder. But I don't think that's what would happen. That's not what happens. When civilizations fall, society claps together and builds another one. Hello. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of murder. You and I have very different tastes. I'm kidding. You're right. Yeah. I hope. Like I say, I hope that's not a controversial statement. Not being a fan of murder should not be a hot take, right? No. One hopes. No, I lost the little rubber thingy that goes on my earphone again. Oh no. It could be anywhere, but it's probably in the bedroom from where I changed my clothes earlier. I don't know. Oh, that's annoying. Might be in my shirt. Oh, that's really annoying. Damn it. Well, anyway. Great, yeah, it is like the most annoying thing. I usually glue them on. I just haven't got around to doing that with this one yet, with this set yet. So, I have some spares inside in the drawer. It's not a big deal. Or, I'll probably find it. I usually find it. Retracing my steps, But, whatever. Sitting here hanging out with you guys for another hour. We might have to go inside, though. It is really hot. That breeze doesn't pick up a little bit more. We might have to go in the house anyway, because... Ooh, I'm going to stop making sense. You want to see my hat hair? Ooh, it's terrible. So yeah, nobody's commented yet. I cut all my hair off because the split ends were just unreal. And I wanted to save what I've got. You know what I mean? They just were getting worse and worse, and I just couldn't. So I just... Heat stroke stream when? Possibly in a few minutes. I don't know. Stick around and find out. Why do you keep hoping for random antics on here? Just like... Oh, thanks. That's about what it was a year ago. Year and a half ago, give or take. Not in a weird way. That's very 1950s pinup. Yeah. I noticed it. That's because I put too much stuff in it. I put too much product in it. So it's like stiff in that weird way. I need to wash it again. And the dress doesn't help. But so, on the other hand, mom is the brand. So what am I doing? Hiding that? What am I... If there's a whiff of domesticity about me, guilty. What am I going to do? A while back, somebody was saying in this purple dress I was wearing, I looked like Betty Rubble. I'm like, oh, they're right. Crap. I don't know. When it's red, I always get Annie. Or sometimes Molly Ringwald. So, whatever. What are we talking about? Right, yeah. And just, in order to find any women's philosophy, it exists, but you have to dig for it. And there's not like the continuous, like, developing history of it the way there is. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Men's philosophy. Okay? Most philosophy is men's philosophy. And I have a video in my playlist that I haven't watched yet, but I'm looking forward to it, about how men abandoned literature. All of the great writers used to be men, and now they're all women, kind of. Not sure how, some of the famous male writers of today fit into that, but we'll see. It's an intriguing, idea, right? Because that's happened throughout. I'm trying to think of another example. Fashion, right? Or men used to be the fashion plates, and then as women kind of started to, make inroads in that and start to make their own clothes, design our own clothes and whatever, they kind of abandoned all of that and left it to us because, all of that frippery is girly shit now. So the point where you look at, a king from the 18th century, he looks like he's dressed up as a girl. To kids, they go, "Oh my god," right? That's my understanding of why that happened. Is because men were the peacocks and women were expected for the most part to be more modest, and then that sort of flipped because women were like, you know what, we want to dress up too, we want pretty clothes too, we want fancy clothes too, we want to express ourselves through our attire as well. And so men were like, oh, okay, y'all do that, we're gonna essentially close rank and adopt a uniform, which is fun. Which men had so much drip back then, right? Yeah, right. You could do what I did, shave it off. I have a mohawk and I'm a mom. My brand is a crazy spinster mom that looks like she can win a bar fight. Awesome. You sound like somebody I want in my camp for sure. That's awesome. Full disclosure though, I have a giant Celtic head, and a big forehead, and yeah, I don't know. I have considered it ever since I saw Sinead O'Connor as a kid, and I just think I don't have a cute little heart-shaped face like that. I have a big oval-shaped head that I feel like hair suits me. If you know what I'm saying. And that's literally it. That's legit. I've seen some people rock some mohawks, and they can be cute. They can. But and here comes another ad. Thank you guys. Anybody who has to sit through the ads, every little bit helps. Really, really, really. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and everything that you guys do. You guys are the reason I keep making content, and you give me so many ideas. This is so interesting because I'm developing, as we go along, and it's great too. Yeah, no, I do. I feel like hair suits me. I do. Well, more to the point, I feel like baldness would not. I feel like being bald just wouldn't suit me, so I don't do that. Legit point. And that's literally it. However anybody else wants to wear their hair, Again, my 16-year-old son has hair down to here, and it's beautiful. And he wanted to grow it out. So what? It is hair. That's what happens when you don't cut it for a while. It gets long. And that's one of those things to me that clearly has nothing whatsoever to actually do with being a woman. Okay? Having long, pretty hair has nothing to do with being a girl at all. Nothing. Because if you're a boy, you can have long, pretty hair too. All you have to do is stop cutting it. Well, for the most part. And you can have long hair too. Anybody can have long hair. You just stop cutting it. Wish my mother could have had that attitude growing up. She always made me cut it, and I hated it. And this is why we fight. No, I think a lot of us had experiences like that. Or related to that, right? My son loves his shoulder length hair shag too. His is thick and lush, right? Yeah. No, seriously, my son's hair is like down to here. It's like halfway down his back when he brushes it out. It's been taking him years to grow it. And it doesn't make him a girl. What? And to be stereotypical for a moment, I can point to some pretty, guys who have some pretty masculine personas and some pretty long ass hair, right? This is not, again, a revolutionary statement. This is not a hot take. Having long hair does not have anything to do with being a girl, but it's it's emblematic of the problem at hand, right? Because I still do it myself, I still do it myself, with a little kid. If they have longer hair, you kind of have to stare at them a little bit longer to figure out whether, or if somebody has longer hair, you do from the back, kind of they read feminine, right? I do it too. Okay, still. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's a harmless sort of social signal kind of thing, but that's all it is. Okay. And this is the sort of thing that shit, I could probably do just a whole damn video on hair length and like aesthetic presentation of masculine and feminine, and how they don't actually have anything to do with being female. But so then what are you left with if you take anything feminine that's not actually materially related that men can also do just fine? That's most of it, right? What are we left with? What are we left with? What actually is femininity? What does that mean? There's just not really a whole lot that isn't. There is really not a whole lot that's left. I do admit that. I had long hair to my butt, but it was so hot come summer. I went to the barber shop and said, shave it all off. They looked at me like I was mad. Aw. Relatable. I think what I did, because a couple years ago, if you go back, I had really long hair. It was like down to my butt too. And copper red and just, a lot. And I spent like 5 years growing it out. And then I was done with it. I was done with having long hair because it'll grow back. It's this sort of cyclical thing I've done forever. I grow it out. I love it. And I appreciate it. And then I get tired of bothering with it for a while. So I cut it off again. And then I grow it out again. And, it's the whole thing. But so what I think I did to get around that was I just took the big long thing and cut it off myself. And then went to the hairdresser and had him neaten it up for me. You love it? Awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure it is much cooler in the summer. It must be. That's legit. And here's to choosing stuff like that for yourself, right? Because obviously your hairstyle is the kind of choice that should be individual, right? But so, yeah. And then the third heresy, I don't know. Do you think that Misandry's Not Feminism deserves its own video? I didn't know that there was quite so much to unpack as far as the praxis versus theory thing. So who knows? Do I really need to sit here and do Not All Men for 20 minutes? Do I need to like... No, I think, the hating on the men is part of the unpacking. I'm all about practicality over aesthetic. My favorite aesthetic is the kind that also manages to be practical. I love a good marriage of the two. That's what I look for. But I'm a snob. I think. I don't know. I rate that. Yeah. I feel like it's relatively self-evident. And you mentioned it in other vids too. So, right. Yeah, you're right. So I don't know if misandry not being feminism necessarily warrants its own what is radical feminism video. But on the other hand, like the more I'm starting to turn this idea over in my head, this is for the future. This is for maybe a few months in the future, later on in the fall even. But the more I turn this idea over in my head, the more it might warrant saying, not necessarily so much for, us, the inner circle, y'all long haulers who know me better than that and who know radical feminism better than that. But theoretically, I'm hoping to attract newcomers, and I'm hoping to speak on the, maybe it's worth speaking to this point just for the broader conversation. You know what I mean? Just to put it out there as to why I believe that, like in an official sort of a way. So that might be worth doing, just for that. And I fear if I neglect it, that might not be good, in the long run. Sometimes with hardcore radical feminist ideas, especially the separatist ones, they sound to me like they'd work pretty well for lesbian women, but not straight bi ones. Anyone get me on that? Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I support them. If you don't want to be around men, I will, I wish there were causes I could donate to and I had money to do that with. But obviously, it's not something that's practical for me to attempt to practice in my life with a husband and 2 sons. That's never going to be practical for me for an extended period. I'd like to try it on for size for, shorter periods. I wish that were possible. And like I say, the process of going through, attaining the new understanding that radical feminism gives you of how society works is long and arduous, and really could use the support of other women who are in a similar place, or maybe have been in a similar place and can recognize and help you through, that stuff. So obviously, that would be something you'd need to have an all women group for. You can't have men there. Misandry actually means hatred of the human race, not males. Men took the word to derail women's rights as a false counterpart. Oh, that's nice. Well, maybe there's a better word for it then. Is there a better word for it? Man-hating? I thought that was misanthropy. Was hatred for mankind in general is misanthropy? Isn't it? I kind of hate the human race at times, not going to lie. I mean, yeah, but that's self-hatred too, right? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. We're all human too, okay? And self-hatred is not healthy. Again, I don't think these are necessarily extreme statements I am making here. These are not hot takes that I'm throwing down here. Yeah, Greek equals andros equals male. Okay. Anthropos, right. So being a misanthrope is hating people. Being a misandrist is hating men. That's what I thought. I mean, if you want to talk about mankind as the whole of humanity, then okay, fine. But like, there is another word for that. So I think that's how I would go with that. And I don't know. I think misandry isn't feminism is nice and concise. Sounds like a video title, right? And somebody I wish I could remember who it was, had actually asked me specifically, said, hey, I'm to your channel. I've been taking in your videos, and I was wondering how you feel about prostitution, pornography, surrogacy, and plastic surgery. And I don't touch on those topics much for two reasons. Number one, I have no experience with prostitution personally. I have no friends who have done that. I don't know anyone. I have no experience to speak from personally. Similarly with plastic surgery, I have no experience. I have no experience with surrogacy. I don't know anyone who's done that. I got nothing. On the ground, boots on the ground, actual life experience, I got nothing. And what's the other one? Yeah, obviously I have some personal experience with pornography. Surrogacy is a horrible industry. Right, yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, is while I have no personal experience here, I really do just agree with radical feminism on this one. Selling your body as a commodity is your body's not a fucking commodity. It just isn't. Especially in this civilization where we all believe you are your body, and the whole idea of so if you are your body, you're selling yourself. You're using you're your own highest asset. Are you I'm sorry, that's twisted. That's like the biggest capitalist mindworm I've ever heard. The capitalism has convinced us to see ourselves as objects, as commodities. And the word objectification gets thrown around a lot, but that's what that is. In its pure form, possibly. All of it. Read Living Laboratories by Robin Rowland, and damn. Oh, you did? Okay. Oh. There's a title that gives one a sense of foreboding. I don't know if we believe we are our body, especially mainstream trans narratives basically hold that the real you is this amorphous soulic thing located in your mind. Right. But trans ideology is if you'll forgive me, a bit fringe in that way. You wouldn't argue that in a court of law, right? You wouldn't argue that in a serious setting, right? Maybe in a psychologist's office, maybe, among people who are friendly to the idea. It's like a religious meeting where Christians get together and talk about salvation, but you wouldn't do that in any serious social setting outside of that, because it's not seriously culturally accepted. The idea of, Cartesian dualism is out of fashion in the mainstream. It is. We're human resources as in commodity. Thanks, capitalism. Right. And you'd be a fool not to be the one to capitalize on your own worth in that way, right? Oh, God. How deep has capitalism in our mind got its hooks in our minds that people accept that? That they sit up and say, yeah, you're right, I am an object. I should get more, and I should get my full money's worth. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, right. Ugh. It is sad. It is sad. But so I don't talk about those topics very often because A, I don't have a whole lot of personal experience to draw from, if any, and B, I just agree with what radical feminism has to say on the topic. I don't have much to add, And so I guess maybe this would be video number 4, where I just kind of cover all of that I just said, but in a more articulate way. Because on the one hand, yeah, I do disagree with a lot of how radical feminism is approached generally, but on the other hand, I don't. And perhaps if I had more personal experience in those areas, I might have, a more granular, detailed perspective where I had a couple points of disagreement here and there, but I don't have that. I don't hope to gain a whole lot of experience with prostitution. You know what I'm saying? I don't hope to gain a lot of experience with surrogacy or plastic surgery. I hope I have all the experience with pornography. I have all the experience with pornography I ever hope to have. Okay, so I don't I don't consider that to be a necessary part of this research project. Actually, yeah, like a video where you run through a bunch of rad femme ideas and be like, I agree, moving on. We clarify where you stand on that for new viewers. Exactly. So we'll do the heresies and they each get their own video. And then kind of put all the stuff I agree with as a package in one video together. Because I agree with them for the same reason, essentially. And it's all capitalist bullshit. It's capitalist mind worms. It's like, you are not an object. You cannot sell yourself. What the fuck is that? Or rent yourself. Like, what? Like, yeah, your body is a thing, but it's not an object. Like, so again, that's a philosophical distinction, right? Because now we're wandering into philosophy. We've gone from politics to philosophy. And like the way that they are just interwoven with one another, I don't know how to untangle that. Does anyone know how to untangle that? Is it possible or even necessary to untangle that? Can't wait. Sounds like a great watch. Cool. I'm going to go through them in order, though. Like I say, I am still developing these ideas as we go along, but I think I'm going to do that one last, just because I think the stuff where I have more new stuff to say is more interesting. Frankly, it's going to be more interesting to write. It'll probably be more interesting to watch. Yeah. But that reminds me of what Adam Conover was saying about how nobody else is doing original philosophy on YouTube. I'm like, excuse me? Excuse you? I'm sorry, what? Do my ears deceive me? They are burning. Like, what? Like, what a twit. But on the other hand, I relished the opportunity to set myself up directly against counterpoints like that. That was very satisfying. Because, spot the difference. Really. I think I packed more substance into 10 minutes than he does in 2 hours. I really do. Ego-driven? Ooh, which one's ego-driven? Adam Conover's interview with Counterpoints? Absolutely. That was going to be a stroke fest, and I was not, like I say, I didn't watch the whole thing. because I was not interested in watching the two of them stroke one another's egos for over an hour. That, ugh. Yeah. But I listened long enough to, get what it was about ContraPoints that made ContraPoints so damn special. And I'm like, well, shit, I got better than that. And I do. I'll say it again. You can quote me on this. I do. I think I put more substance into those 10 minutes than ContraPoints does in 2 hours. My background is nice, but it is not, theatrical. I don't do a bunch of costumes, and I don't plan on doing that. I'm not going to like we all know Philosophy Tube kind of tries to be like the poor man's ContraPoints, right? Obviously, I'm not planning on doing that. I'm not planning on going in that direction with this, in case anyone was worried about that. Like, no, all that pretentious attention grabbing nonsense. I'm not above doing a little bit of attention grabbing, but like that's style over substance to the point where it takes you a year to produce a video. Come on, man. Come on. And so much of philosophy, especially men's philosophy, is style over substance, right? It's like, oh. I have found excerpts from history. There was actually a trend among philosophers, and I want to say it was the 17th century, where like they measured and wrote about their bowel movements because, they were doing natural philosophy, which is science, right? They were interested in how the digestive system works and whatever. But it's like, you put that in your journal? And now I'm reading it 400 years later. What the fuck oh my God, I'm sorry. Maybe it's not the arrogance of the guy himself, but it's the arrogance of anyone reprinting this that thinks anyone wants to read that. But it's like, actually, I'm sorry. Literally talking shit. Yeah, exactly. And this is considered, interesting work by interesting people. So much so that it was reprinted 300-400 years later. And what is that? What kind of weird bias is that allows that shit to happen? But we have literally nothing about, I don't know, the menstrual cycle. You want to tell me that women have never developed any kind of philosophy around our menstrual cycle? You want to tell me that if women hadn't had a big hand in building society, that a lot of it wouldn't have to do with that? That there wouldn't be themes about women's menstrual cycle just woven into the culture, symbolically and structurally, because it sure is for us, okay? And we don't have that. But I can read about John Boswell's fucking excrement, okay? I think his name was John. Anyway, it'd be funny if it was, because it's, anyway, toilet humor. But, maybe that's why I think his name is John. But, yeah. Now, this is what I sit back and I go, why am I reading this? And why am I not reading that? I'm not going to say that, some women's philosophy about menstruation from 400 years ago would be super valuable, but it doesn't even exist. Because most of them couldn't read. But yeah, no, we don't live in a patriarchy. Not at all. Like, apparently everybody's pretty much familiar with this idea that privilege is invisible to you. Like, you don't see your own privilege, and that's kind of how it works. Oppression is a lot of the time the same way. Do fish know they're wet? Kind of thing. Okay? It's invisible until somebody points it out to you. Which, again, is another radical feminist thing. Like a core tenet of radical feminism. But so then what do we make of that? Ooh, have you heard the period poem by Dominique Christina? Ooh, no. Is it good? Is it long? No, but I wrote it down, so now I will. Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay, even easier. I can listen to it while I make dinner, ironically. Oh my gosh, we have another ad coming up. Thank you in advance for everybody who has to sit through the ad. Every little bit helps, really. We're trying to bring feminism back into the real world. I'm not just saying that. That's not just a slogan. That really is the mission of the channel. And we can use all the help we can get. Since apparently it was taken over by CIA psyops. That's fun. That's fun. But what wasn't? Like, seriously, what countercultural movement fucking wasn't, apparently? That seems to just have been their MO. And possibly still is, probably. I don't see a reason to believe that it isn't. Hey, baby, what's going on?
I love you.
I love you too. I'm on here for another half an hour, though. What's going on? Huh?
Could I watch YouTube?
Yeah, but no horror stuff.
Okay.
Okay. What's your brother doing? Tell him to come hang out with you till 2 o'clock, for heaven's sake. It's like y'all don't know what I'm doing or when I'm doing it.
No, it's okay.
Oh, you met her? What was that like? All right, go on.
One of them met who?
A lady called Dominic Christina. Yeah, it's just part of the conversation we're having. Don't worry about it. No horror stuff. This 6-year-old, almost 7. He's gonna be 7 next week, actually. Whew. Has a thing for horror, like children's horror, but still. And then he's been telling me lately he's been having nightmares, and he's like, "But it's not because of the horror stuff. But I don't know why it is." And I'm like, "Well, we're gonna go ahead and try that anyway." We're gonna go ahead and try not watching horror stuff for a while anyway, just to see what happens, Oh, no, but I did explain to him that this is just sort of how that stuff works. And I'm not making it up. Whatever you put in has a lot to do with what you get out. And now we get to learn that. Nice and early, which is probably good. I once accidentally gave a kid I was tutoring babysitting nightmares. Oh no, what did you do? What is it, baby?
Who did call me a little brat just now?
Ugh. Tell him I will talk to him when I get in the house. I have 20 minutes left on here, okay? Go on. Oh. I started telling him this medieval story that I thought was safe for kids because it has no sex. I forgot the protagonist commits a lot of very painful violence against his own children. Yee. Poor boy was talking about that story for weeks. Yeah, and this is actually, hardcore stuff aside, I have never really worried so much about my kids being exposed to sexual ideas because sex is a normal part of adult life. A normal, healthy part of adult life. The idea that they would know about its existence. Yeah, they don't need to watch it. But just the idea that they might, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Kids can know about sex. I don't have a problem with that. The violence, and this is in America anyway, this is completely flipped. Violence is totally fine, and sex is an automatic R rating. But like even explicit talk about it, it's an automatic R rating. And I'm just so backwards on that. I don't want my kids watching a bunch of violence. Violence is not a normal, healthy part of life in the same way that sex is. It's just not. She's really tall and has a real presence. I'm glad she's on the radical feminist side. Awesome. To be honest, I got a little bit of a crush. Ooh. Those are always fun. Curious question. Do you not worry about the booby streamer thing on Twitch? It was in my ear. You guys, the little rubber thingy was in my ear. I am concerned. I like to think I've talked to my older son several times, many times, about how pornography is kind of like candy. I'm not saying don't have any, but it's not something to have a regular diet of. It will make you fat and it will fuck up your head, just like too much candy will fuck up your health. Okay, that's how I put it to him, basically. And how getting sex ed from pornography is like getting conflict management from action movies. That's about how realistic that is. Okay. And we've had many talks about that. And like I said, he's 16. And by this point, if I haven't given him some of the critical tools to evaluate and, go through his own journey on the internet, then I have already failed. I haven't noticed, a whole lot of, like I say, he has a pretty serious relationship going on right now with somebody who thinks they're a boy. So, as a teenager, I kind of just assumed everyone treated porn as pure fantasy, like an action movie. Thank you, right? Same. And it's horrifying to discover that some people take that stuff very seriously, and almost like people take Scorsese films, like a treatise on life. It's like, you guys, no. And friends started telling me about male partner doing stuff in the bedroom they'd seen in porn without asking first. That's weird. I don't care what it is. Without asking first? That's the thing. Like what? You think that's just part of this? Is what's implied there, I guess? Which is horrifying as an idea. Huh?
I'm gonna go run the Egan's.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna do a direct comparison this week. I am on camera right now. So don't, unless you want to be on camera too, don't come any closer. You're already in the shot.
That's fine.
Okay.
I got pants on.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna go run. I'll be back.
Okay. Be safe.
Oh,
Love you.
I called out of work
Oh, okay.
because I got called a fucking idiot by a drunk girl and stupid multiple times because my manager didn't order enough sauces.
Oh my God.
And I've worked 3 13-hour shifts in a row, and I got 3 more this week. So
Oh my God. You want to hang out later?
I'm hanging out with Ricardo.
Okay. Well, you get to tell me about who that is later.
Oh yeah. He's 5'11" and Mexican.
That's an unusual combination.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I love you.
Love you. On a more wholesome note, I watched a silly rom-com recently with my mother and started wondering if straight romance actually works this way for some people in real life. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Which one was it? Dare we ask? Which one was it? It is fascinating, though, how storytelling can make these things feel plausible, right? Street romance scares. They're to scare me, to be honest. Ooh. Between Two Walls was the name, I think. Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one. I don't know. If you want to see how that works, I think I've recommended this movie before. Parenthood, ironically, is the name of the movie that I would recommend if you want to actually have some idea of how that works for straight people. Because it ends with the man and woman destroying a wall that separates their 2 apartments and losing all of their deposit because they're in love or something. Dare I suggest that might be some sort of a metaphor? Maybe it's a parable. And see, again, this is another thing where female philosophy might do some filling in the gaps and these mysteries for us. What the hell is it like to be intimately, romantically, sexually attracted to your biggest threat? What's that like? Surely that sort of psychological tension could birth all sorts of philosophical ramblings, right? And, again, unless it's an anti-straight screed, does that stuff exist? Or in the form of a romance novel or a rom-com. Like, does that stuff exist? Sounds like it would be fascinating. Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah. That face. Have a friend who's in love with a guy who once had plans to murder-suicide her. And to be honest, I cannot for the life of me understand it. Some philosophy could help. I'm not. I think that's fucking weird to be attracted to the enemy. Right. But so that's nature. Right? It's not nature that they're the enemy. They decided that. So, and I think untangling that is a big part of feminism's responsibility. Like, if we're going to be a serious school of philosophy, okay, it can't just be about separatism. That can't be the end. Like I say, I think that's step one. Okay, I do. I think separating from the men to unpack our own baggage is step one. And what is beyond that? We don't have a good, solid idea. Which is not really so much of a complaint as an observation that we should probably just go ahead and look at that and maybe create some. What is beyond the pulling back from masculinity? What is beyond the pulling back into our female selves and trying to figure out what that's about? Except for Serge Tankian. He's yummy. Why is my phone ringing? Are you freaking kidding me? I have 10 minutes left on here. Where is that damn thing? Who is this? I don't know. Let's find out. Hello? 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 Cool. A wrong number. Apparently. She didn't really want to talk to me, which is fine because I didn't want to talk to her either. Where were we? Right, yeah. Except for Serge Tankian. I don't remember who that is, but so that's what I'm saying. That being a straight woman is sort of this ball of contradictions that obviously needs some clarification. How is that not an obvious corner for feminist philosophy? How is that not? How should that not? That should be women doing that. And we certainly don't have the excuse now that none of us can read. Oh, yeah. I knew that name sounded familiar. The guy from System of a Down. Totally. That voice helps a lot. That's all you got. How old is he? Oh, he's 56. Oh, my. I mean, I knew he was older than me. Because he was a grown man doing shit when I was a teenager. So. Like I'm seasoned. I think that's healthy too. As we mature, our tastes should as well. Right? And that's definitely something that goes for both sexes. Right? Yeah. And it's, obvious if if an older man is into younger women, that's because he's immature. Yeah. I don't think that's a hot take either. That's him holding up a giant sign that says, I'm still 20 in my head. Which is not something you should be boasting about. Yes, oh my God, thank you. Right, yeah. That's not something to brag about. And then they manage to spin it. Because obviously to them it's perfectly reasonable. And they want to explain to you why it's perfectly reasonable. And you're expected to just accept this. which this to me is just feminist. This is a feminist point. This is a feminist point. But only because we are in a patriarchal system where for men this is excused. Right? And I don't want it to be also excused for women. I think that means you're immature. My more traditionally minded straight friend keeps nattering on about stuff like being attracted to younger and or poorer girls is natural or whatever, and it's exhausting. Ugh. It's because he wants someone who's easily controllable. Right. It doesn't give me good vibes, I gotta admit. Right. Yeah, he likes an inbuilt power imbalance. And he's spun that so he doesn't feel like a dirtbag. Red flags. Yeah, no kidding. I do often suspect that, yeah. Even if they're not ready to admit that to themselves consciously. Right, because they don't want to feel like a dirtbag. Who does? I like my friend. He often talks about how his biggest fear is a woman cheating on him. Seems like control might be a factor there. Yeah. Yeah. Again, immaturity, insecurity. Okay. Which, one might argue that perhaps they're not ready to have a relationship if that's their approach to things. Like, that's a revolutionary statement. He knows. He just wouldn't say it out loud. Right. No, I'm saying, but like, nobody wants to think of themselves as a scumbag. So it's like, I didn't make this point very well last week, but what Derrida was saying about how essentially inverting the hierarchy, flipping the script, right? Derrida just wants to flip the script. He doesn't actually want to demonstrate to you that he's right or convince you that he is right. He just wants to make it so being right doesn't matter. And that is how, scumbags are great at that. They're like, what is that? The narcissist's prayer? I didn't do that. And if I did, I didn't mean it that way. And if I did, something. It's all these steps of rationalization. Okay. He sounds like he's gearing up towards being a passport bro. And yeah, right. Gearing up towards. It's almost as if you have to talk yourself into, work up to being an abusive, objectifying son of a bitch like that. I don't think that's most people's natural position. I don't. You have to talk yourself into essentially giving up on women as people, which sounds just epically sad. If you're a straight guy, I've seen the antithesis, the reverse of this as straight women who don't believe that men are full people. Like that's a dark place to be. Okay. He likes Eastern Asian women because in his view, they're more traditional and submissive. We often argue about stuff like this in the household. Yeah, no kidding. And unfortunately, that's the blind leading the blind because neither of you are women, right? So, like, I'm very cynical about the traditional gender roles and dating stuff. Much of it to me seems like euphemizing patriarchy. Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lot of men just take it as a given that they themselves are above women, that it's a natural hierarchy, so they don't see themselves as scumbags. It's normal. Right. Which brings me back to, I think it's a key point difference between men and women and just the way we see the world. They do. They seem to walk into any given situation and sort of automatically arrange things into some sort of hierarchy because that's how they think. That's just how they see things. And I just don't think that's how a lot of women naturally see things. I think we tend to look at things more like web-like, more the holistic connections between things and systems and less, hierarchical evaluations of the interconnectedness of things. It's literally just a top-down versus a, sort of it's just a different approach to the same thing. But then they act as if this stuff is just the way it is. It's like, no, asshole, that's the way it looks to you. Definitely. Yep, see, it's about control. Asian women, in his mind, as a slave maiden with no autonomy, right? Big thing for him is equity, not equality, and that seems to me like it allows so much room for exploitation. Yeah, well, because again, feminism has failed to draw the distinction of what the fuck a woman actually is. Like, where is the line between culturally imposed femininity and the actual person underneath all of that? We have completely failed, as far as I've ever been able to find, to clarify this. How exactly that shouldn't be like feminism's core fundamental project is examining what the hell it is that makes us women and defining that on our own terms. How is that not just a fundamental project of feminism? It should be. Thank you. And so they passport bros and whatever, and a lot of cultural movements in a lot of different ways take advantage of our uncertainty. Okay. And they're feeding into this uncertainty with this whole, well, it's just a cultural role anyway. If we're not slaves, we're not women, right? So whatever, we just won't be women anymore. We'll be non-binary. We'll be this and that and the other thing, and identify by our careers and by our star signs or what the fuck ever. I don't know. And like that quote by Monique Wittig, I cut most of it out, but she was talking about how feminism, the project of feminism, is to destroy women as a natural group. No. That to me would be the complete antithesis of what the fuck the point of feminism is to defend women as a natural group. And this is being touted as rad femme philosophy. It's not. No. Star signs. Oh yeah, he also doesn't have any female close friends. Right? No, of course not. Obviously. What girl would be friends with that? In his view, the main reason for extension and interaction with women in his life is to chat them up as potential romantic partners. Oh, yes, that's very worrisome. Well, he doesn't see them as people, as full people. I don't know. I feel men should be able to have close platonic female friends. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that with that attitude, I'm not surprised he doesn't have any. I've been very lucky to have some close female friends over the years, and I've learned so much from them. Right, yeah. You've probably been open to learning those things from them, too. He doesn't sound like he's terrifically open-minded to alternative perspectives. It's to abolish gender, not abolish women as a group that exists. Right, yeah. It literally said, though, to abolish women as a natural class. And perhaps that is some sort of Marxist lingo that I'm not familiar with. And she means natural class in some sort of a Marxist analysis sort of way. But just on its face, Shulamith Firestone literally says that our goal should be that genital differences will be irrelevant culturally. I don't think that's possible, y'all. I don't think that's preferable, y'all. I don't think we want to negate our own existence because men invented femininity, so I guess we're just a figment of their imagination. Are you fucking kidding me? It's very frustrating. And that all of this isn't obvious strikes me as internalized misogyny. It just is. Like I say, your oppression is invisible to you. Okay? Yeah, my sociology teacher in high school was a radical feminist, possibly a term too. That wasn't a big issue back then, right? And she gave me a good introduction to feminist thought. Awesome. Women as class, meaning women's status, not women as a reality. Right, okay. So the natural class of the gender role needs to be abolished. Okay, fine. Is that what Shulamith Firestone meant when she said that genital differences won't be relevant culturally? Because again, these are broad, sweeping declarations that don't actually make any sense if you try and apply them to anything. And if I understand from an intuitive, from a perspective of somebody who's been through this, I understand what they're getting at with that. But the wording is so broad and yet so specific. I'm sorry. It's just it's a problem. Okay, because it's talking about, for all intents and purposes, erasing us from existence, which I'm not on board with. I don't think that's not what they meant. Then fine. I don't know this person. I just understand Marxism and what class is with Marxist theory. Okay, and maybe that's what she meant. Okay. But, I like to think that nobody could just pick a paragraph out of something I wrote and use it to make radical feminism look like a bunch of nonsense. Which is why I say it is not strong philosophical theory. It just isn't. And it's 2:00 and I am dying, you guys. We're about to get another ad. Oh, shit. Oh, there's 5 more minutes. Okay. I am, though. It's 2:00 and I am wilting. So bad out here. I need to go in, y'all. But thank you so much for hanging with me and helping me develop some of these ideas. You know, I'm going to go back and watch this and make some notes. And who knows, next week maybe we'll have the heresy #1 video. I'd like to have that ready for you next week. Or maybe she sucks at this sociopolitical understanding. It's been a great time. Yeah, thanks. Ditto. Hope y'all have a great week. You too. You too. Watch the period poem. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. I will. Oh, check this space. Oh, that breeze feels good. Mwah. Love y'all so much. Thank you for all the support and all the good ideas. This is so cool. I'm excited. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.